Stitches podcast number 3. My name's Angela. I'm predominantly a teacher and a mum, but I also knit a lot. So here's my third podcast. I started back in October after I've been to this amazing trip to Copenhagen, and it turns out I really enjoy podcasting. So I'm going to refer to my notes to tell you what is in the plans for today. Oh, I should say Happy New Year. So today it's the 3rd of January. I'm recording on the last Friday of the school holidays. I'm back to work on Monday. One of my daughters is back to school on Monday as well. And the other not until Wednesday because her preschool has some training. So I will talk about what I'm wearing, my finished objects, including gift knits. And then I'll talk about my whips and plans for my whips. Then I will give you a bit of a life update, including New Year goals, and finally more generally about knitting plans. So you'll get the standard podcast format at the start, so if you're not interested in the life stuff, obviously you can stop watching then. So first off, what I'm wearing, this is my finished object, the Lodon sweater, which I test knit for Sophie, who is known as the Knit Pearl Girl. It's knit in Knitting for Olive, merino and soft silk mohair held together, both of which I purchased in the shop in Copenhagen. So it's knit on, I think I've knit it on 4.5mm needles, and I knit it in the 3rd size. It is quite snug actually, and if I'm honest, probably a tad too short. But I only used 4 balls of each yarn, and I had plenty left over that I probably could have lengthened the sweater slightly. We'll see, because it's a against the skin piece, so it's not really a big jumper that I'm putting over the top of something. And it being winter and Christmas and so on, the opportunities to go out and wear something like this have actually been quite slim. So we'll see I think this will be a piece I'll probably reach for more in the spring, when I'll be wearing high-waisted jeans, and therefore the length won't be as a concern. In terms of finished objects, first off I'm going to talk about a couple of the finished objects that I don't have with me here right now, and I'll hopefully be able to pop a photo of them up here. Don't have them with me because they're gifts, or I just couldn't find them before the podcast. So the first one is the frog bag that I crocheted for my daughter for her Christmas present, and it has led me to the conclusion that for my children I will not make for them for Christmas or birthdays, but rather just gift them anytime, because they were so overwhelmed by all the other gifts that they just showed no interest, and I felt a bit, I don't know, I just felt a bit, oh, I put all that effort in and you're not that interested. The frog bag, I have to say, she has still not really taken an interest in. That said, I can't find it, so she probably has hidden it somewhere. The other gift I made her, which I'll talk about later, she does really like, so hey ho. So I'm just checking my notes. The other one is the Miser hot water bottle cover. I made one of them from my mother-in-law, which you saw in the previous podcast, and I also made one for my sister-in-law in Christmas colours. She absolutely loves Christmas, and she actually got married in December because she loves Christmas so much, so all her wedding decorations were very Christmassy. So I knit it in red, white and green, and I used the Yarnsmith's Merino DK for that knit, which was lovely. It's the first time I'd used it, and I bought it whilst it was still discounted, so a very economical gift as well. What else do I not have with me? I think I've got everything else with me, so I will go on to the whips that I can show you. So first off is this one here. This is the Frederiksberg beanie, which is a design by Knitting for Olive, and it's a hat for my husband, which I managed to cast on and knit within and finish it within maybe 4 days, maybe 5. So the yarn is called Carpe Diem. It's, I have the ball band somewhere actually. So it's a Lang, I'm not sure how well that will show. It's a Lang yarn Carpe Diem, and it is 70% merino and 30% alpaca. And this is in the colour 714.0339. That's a great description. I purchased it at Yarnworks. I got 3 balls of it, and that's what I've got left from making the hat in not the largest size, but the size that's just below the largest size for my husband, who does have quite a big head. I haven't actually checked if it met gauge since blocking it. It did meet gauge beforehand though. Knit all over on 5mm needles, so a really quick knit. It's double layered as well, so I can't pull it apart now because I've sewn it together, but you essentially knit that twice, and the pattern says it's reversible, so you could wear it with the pearl side showing. I don't like that, and I don't think it looks finished actually, and I can feel it on my hand, it's bunching a bit underneath. So me and my mother-in-law and husband all agree that it looks better with the stockinette side showing, with the knit side showing. So yeah, it's a really thick, warm hat, and he's not yet worn it because he doesn't know that it's blocked now, and I took it away to show in this podcast. Next finish object is another hat for my husband. So this is the hipster hat by Petite Knit, which as soon as I finished, my husband said, "Can you make me another one in cream?" No, actually no, he said, "Can you make me another one in black?" And I said, "No, it's December, I'm not making you a hat in black in December, ain't gonna happen." So then he said, "Okay, how about cream then?" And so when I went to pick up some, so my Christmas Eve box and a few other things from Yarnworks, he came with me and picked that yarn for the Frederiksberg beanie. Oh, and I was going to say, Frederiksberg beanie, patterned by Knitting for Olive. It's a great name because that's the region of Copenhagen that the Knitting for Olive shop is in. I remember visiting it, obviously, in October. So yeah, I was attracted to the pattern because of that name as well. So anyway, hipster hat by Petite Knit, fingering weight yarn held double on 3.5mm needles. It's a 2x2 rib pattern. I've made this many times, and actually when my husband asked for another hat, I said I can't do this again, I'm a bit bored of this pattern now. So I'm sure I will make it again eventually, but I didn't want to cast that one on again, so that's why he got the Frederiksberg. Next one, so this was a Christmas gift knit for my daughter, my eldest daughter. This is the Midland neck, which I test knit for Laura Penrose. And the idea is that, particularly for children, they lose scarves, don't they? So it's something to wear under a coat that's not bulky like a jumper, but will keep your sort of chest and neck warm. And she really likes it. Again, we've not had loads of opportunity to wear it because we've been staying in the house during the school holidays, or where we have gone out, we've gone out, you know, gone in the car and gone to a place where you don't need to be wrapped up warm. But maybe we'll wear it this weekend for a nice crisp outdoor walk because it's not raining anymore. So I knit it in Sorella yarn cashmere DK, and as I said, I test knit it for Laura. It's gone down well as a gift. As I said, on Christmas Day she wasn't interested, but when the next day when we did go and visit family, she did wear it, so she clearly liked it. Next finished object is the Sweet Shop blanket, which was for my other daughter. And I think the last time I showed this, I had done not quite 12 squares. I think I'd done like 11.5. So I ended up gifting it to her with 20 squares complete. I don't know if you can see all of these. I was aiming for 30. I just watched my last podcast back to check and update my notes. I was aiming for 30 squares, And then I was aiming for 25 in discussion with a friend of mine, and then it got to it. I was about a week and a bit away from Christmas, and I had a square and a half left to get to 20, and I thought, you know what, I'll give it to her at 20, and then I'll be able to see is that the right size or not. And actually she's loving it, and it's perfect. I could make it into a square to make it 25, but I'm not going to rush to do that. I've got lots of other plans that are more pressing than making this bigger for her right now. So right now it's going to stick at 20. And as I said previously, the beauty of that pattern is that you can add to it, and the edges are finished in such a way that you can just continue adding to it. So that's really, really good. So about my whips. So before I'll show you anything, I'm sure that a lot of us have been in that sort of new year, fresh start, making plans, making goals time of year. And one thing that I have decided and thought about was how many whips I had on the needles that weren't getting finished, and I would then start new ones. And so I'd get that dopamine rush from starting a new project, but very rarely getting that sense of accomplishment from finishing anything. And as well as that, my knits are all my needles and cables are all held hostage on those projects that have sat in project bags. So I made a decision. I wrote down all of my knits, and I'll post a picture of them here. All of my whips, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 whips that are on the needle that I want. They're not like languishing because I've decided I don't want them anymore. I want all of these finished objects. So I prioritised them. I decided that 4 is a good number to be working with. And so I've picked out 4 that are my active whips right now. And then on New Year's Day, I had a knit night with my friends, and we are all planning to make the Jenny jacket, which is the first one I'll show you. We're all planning to make that to wear to the East Anglian Yarn Festival, which is the middle of March. And it's a cardigan, and it's all over rib pattern with some smock stitches. So it will be a long knit, and so leaving it to my priority list, we decided wasn't a great idea. So my plan is to also work on that daily, just half an hour, just to get some rows done. Because when I join it in the round, it will be something like 330 stitches. Obviously not in the round, it's a cardigan, but you know what I mean. Join the fronts to the back. So I actually have 5 active whips, but one of them it's like your drink your 8 glasses of water a day kind of whip, trying to form it a habit. So let's get that out. Here we go. So Jenny jacket, it's by Petite Knit, and so far I've done the back and most of the right shoulder section. It's knit using the Surrey lace is the colour's called Salted Caramel, and it's by Castleview Yarns. It's 65% baby Surrey alpaca and 35% silk, and that is held with Earth Yarns 16 fingering, which is a 100% superwash ultrafine merino that I got from Yarnworks, and the combination is just dreamy. When I cast on, I think we cast on mid-September, or was it the start of September? I was really excited, and I wanted to get it finished so I could wear it in autumn, but it's too long a knit to do that, and then I kind of got grumpy that I wouldn't be able to wear it in autumn and put it down. But Anna, who is one of the friends I'll be going to the festival with, has started working on hers again, and that's inspired me to continue working on mine. So that's the Jenny jacket. Oh, I'll just make sure the pattern is with the yarn. I'm also just going to check that it's still recording. Yes, we're good. 15 minutes in. Okay, the next whip, another one that had been languishing. Chocolate, that was in my Christmas Eve box, and I've hidden it because I didn't fancy eating it, but if I left it somewhere my children could get to it, you know I wouldn't be able to have it myself, so I've hidden it in a project bag so I can eat it when I fancy it one day. Okay, so the next project whip is the Pim Pom shawl. I don't know if you can see that. If it doesn't show well, I will post a picture of it. So this is a pattern by Laura Penrose that I actually test for her, but I tested the child size, which my daughter has. I will post a picture. And I have knit it myself in what was the Ching Fibre 2022 Advent. And when I got that Advent, the next year I decided I'm never doing a yarn Advent again, because I had no idea what to do with the yarn afterwards, and it just sat in stash for ages. But now I've knit most of a shawl with it, I'm like, oh, actually maybe I will do that again, because I could knit a shawl. So anyway, this is the 2022 Ching Fibre Advent, except for I just ran out of yarn before the scallop section, and so the black yarn is folk yarn. So folk is a yarn that's created by the creator of East Anglia Yarn Festival. And I really didn't know where else I could go with the fade but straight to black, and actually I think it looks really good. So yeah, this Pim Pom shawl, it's kind of between the child size and the adult size. I did my pom-poms early because I knew I was going to run out of yarn, and then I did my scallops at the earliest point I could with the right number of stitches. Although now I've done it and made a couple of mistakes on stitch counts, I realise I probably could have just finished it at any point and just winged it a bit with the stitch counts, but I'm happy with it as it is. I think a really, really big shawl is not practical for me in my life, so I think this will be just the right size for me. So yes, I will just throw it on pile rather than trying to get it back into its bag. The next one, I spoke about this one a lot in my first podcast, I think. So this is the Astrid sweater. I'm not sure which is the... So that's the right side. Again, this is the same yarn combination as the Loddon that I'm wearing. So a Knitting for Olive Merino with their soft silk mohair, and I bought this in the shop in Copenhagen. This is in the colour Poppy Blue. I'm not sure if I mentioned the Loddon is mustard. And this was the one that I was going to cast on once I finished that, and then I was going to cast on once I finished that, and I didn't get around to it for a really long time. Can't remember exactly when I cast it on. It was maybe a week or so before Christmas. But my goal for this one, I should have said, my goal for the Pim Pom shawl is to get it finished by the end of this weekend, which, as you'll see, is nearly there. My goal for this one by the end of this weekend is to get it joined in the round. So there's another hem section, and you basically do the same as that again and then join them up. So I think I've got a good chance of doing that alongside all the other goals I have. Maybe not, but we'll see. So Astrid sweater by Knitting for Olive in Knitting for Olive yarn. A pattern I really, really, really like. Next, so one of my knitting plans is to actually knit socks. I really love the few pairs of knitted socks I have, but I've got a few socks that I've started. I've got lots of sock yarn, but I just don't commit to it. And I've even got I think I've got 2 or 3 books of just sock patterns. So the plan is to use those patterns to knit socks with yarn in my stash. That said, this wasn't in my stash, or it hasn't been in my stash for long, because this is the yarn from the Yarnworks / Market Town Yarns Christmas Eve box. So I have started knitting the sock number 3 from Summer Lee's sock project book, and I intend to get enough of the tube of the sock done that it would be half the length of my foot by the end of the weekend. So I'm trying to do like these chunky bite-sized goals so that I can get on with it. I also got it also came with this the Yarn Works Christmas Eve box came with this little tote bag. The box, gorgeous. So the box is like that, and you saw it came with that Malteser's reindeer. We've also got a candle, mistletoe kisses, and this Anywhere balm. I've not found this, it's combo of like beeswax and coconut oil and so on. It's very hard at the moment, I guess, because it's so cold. It also came with a bunch of stitch markers, which I don't have with me now, but they were sort of laser cut on wood, really nice. So I would do that again. That was a nice thing to open for myself on Christmas Eve. And then my, is that 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, so my last active whip is the Louisiana sweater by Petite Knits. And this is knit using three strands of Isea boucle held together, and it's on 9mm needles, so it should be a quick knit. And I think I cast it on right at the start of December. I've done the yoke, it's joined in the round, and the plan for this one by the end of the weekend is actually to finish the body, so not the hem, but just get the length of the body done, because then it's a hem and 2 sleeves, and it should be done pretty quick. So of my active whips, this one, the socks and the pim pom shawl should be finished really quite quickly. Like I'm thinking a week and a half to get those 3 off the needles so that I can move on to the next batch. And yeah, just having that plan in place has really helped, because otherwise I know that this one, which is really thick and warm, would languish, and I would end up not working on it, and then it wouldn't get finished in time to wear it this year, and I'd say, oh well, I'll leave it till next year, and then I'd forget about it, and that's happened with such a lot. So hopefully the new plan is working. So that's whips done. So now life update. So first off, I need to apologise because I did one video for Vlogmas and then I didn't do any more. Turns out being an almost full-time teacher and a mum of 2 doesn't leave you with very much time for filming and editing. So I did film stuff to put together to do one for the end of a week, and then I got really ill. I actually had 2 days in a row off work, and I don't feel like I fully recovered probably until Christmas, to be honest. I went to the wedding the week before my last week of term, and I had a allergic reaction to what I now realise was the Christmas tree. So I was coughing and I had to get my inhaler like straight away. And then that weekend we went to my mother-in-law's house, and she had one of the Christmas trees from the wedding, and I had a really, really bad allergic reaction. It was so uncomfortable. So I realised that, I'm probably allergic to Christmas trees, which is good, I realised, because we were supposed to be getting one of the real trees from the wedding as well, and we ended up not getting it because I was clearly very allergic. We had Christmas Day at my mother-in-law's, and I had to take Piriton to be able to be there. Like I noticed it, not immediately, and it certainly wasn't as bad, but it did start sort of triggering that reaction again whilst we were there. So I tried to stay out of that room, but you know, that was the room where the present opening was happening, and the watching. We didn't watch any TV on Christmas Day, actually. What I'm talking about, but that's the family room, so I couldn't really not be in it. So yeah, so that's why I didn't Vlogmas. In terms of New Year, so I posted about this on Instagram the other day. For a really, really long time, I have not set New Year's resolutions. They're not realistic in my mind, but goal setting is. And to me, the difference is that goal setting, you actually create some sort of a plan of how you're going to achieve that goal. It's not just, I'm going to lose £50 or whatever. It is, I am going to do this, and this is how. So on New Year's Day, I used this, which I used to use these planners, but the business ones, when I ran my personal training business, I used lots of different planners actually, but this was the one I would use at the start of the year. But this is a life one, so it's Life Goals Workbook, and I looked at it on on New Year's Day, and I had started filling it out last year, but I didn't get very far with it, and a lot of the things that, like 2023, so not last year, the previous year, was a really, really tough year. I spent most of the year in a job I hated. I changed jobs during the year to another job I hated. And we had some really, really real challenges with grief as well. Like one of my, well, no, I won't say it, but just it was a really tough year. And so looking at what I did fill in at the start of last year, it's been really inspiring to show actually how far I've come and how much better my life is. And part of that is being in a job I do like. But one thing that it did bring up for me is goals in terms of my children. And there are a couple of things. One is that my eldest child, she's now 6, she'll be 7 quite soon. And she doesn't do anything other than school. Like there are no clubs or anything she goes to, and that was a purposeful decision. Like getting used to school and so on was quite tough for her, and even getting used to this school year has been tough for her. But I want us to do more sort of fun things as a family, but also for her to have things outside of school. The key. So I work in a private school, and I don't think there's anything better about the teaching that I'm doing there, teaching geography, than I did when I worked in a state school. But what is better is that the children get to do music, performing arts, sport, swimming, just as part of being at school. It's not like your parents have to go and find it elsewhere. So that is what I want to try and give my children. And it's amazing how when you set that intention, things come up and work for you. So one of the things I wrote down was about getting her to do things outside of school. And then someone I knew from my teenage years put something on Facebook about, she's just moved back to the area and she's offering singing and piano lessons. And so I've managed to arrange my daughter's first piano lesson, which I had tried to do back in September through her school, but the music, my county council's music services that it was arranged through really messed up, and it didn't end up happening. So I'm quite glad that this has now happened, and through a friend, so someone I know who I'm familiar with, and she's giving us a slightly discounted rate as well, so all win-win. The other thing is I managed to take both girls swimming on my own yesterday, which if you'd have said that to me a year ago, there's no way I would have done it. And I was really quite scared about it even yesterday, but I used some hacks from that Laura Penrose spoke about. So one of them was using a hot water bottle and having spare towel and so on, and it just went really well. So we went swimming in the morning. We're probably in the pool for about 35-40 minutes, so not too long. We came out, dried them off, got dressed, and then they could play in the club room. And I ordered us lunch, and we had lunch. So we were out of the house for sort of 3 and a bit hours, which was really, really needed. But it's given me the confidence to say, actually, we can do that exact same thing on the day after school that I pick them up straight after school. And what it means is, A, we get to do a fun thing together, but B, I don't have to cook because we'll just eat out on that day. And so that's another thing. So we've got piano lessons and we've got swimming, not lessons, but just having a play. So that's hopefully what we're going to start with as our sort of new family plan. Yeah, I think that's it in terms of life updates. In terms of knitting plans, I've already mentioned we're going to have 4 whips, and we're picking up the languishing whip. So at the moment, there's no new cast-ons in that plan. But the idea is I'm going to plan and regularly review my knitting. So every week I'm going to say, okay, this is where I'm at on my whips. This is where I want to get to on these whips by the end of this week. And so then my knitting time that I have available can be planned accordingly. My other knitting plan is that I'm on a total yarn ban until East Anglia Yarn Festival. So East Anglia Yarn Festival is on the 15th and 16th of March. And I've got enough whips. Like I've got, as I said, I've got 12 whips, and they're not small. Some of them are small, but that is enough knitting for the next 10 or 11 weeks, isn't it? So I don't need to buy any yarn. The only thing that I might need yarn for is one skein of Filcolana Arvetta for the climate change shawl, but that's no longer an active whip for me. I got to the end of the April section. I've got enough yarn to get me to the end of the November section. So it literally will be just the December skein, unless I need any more of the main colour. But when I get to that, I might assess whether I can either put that piece on hold until my yarn ban is over, or just get it. And again, I'm going to reassess each of these goals at the end of the first quarter. So at the end of March, or for the yarn ban, maybe just at East Anglia Yarn Festival, I'm going to assess, do I need to maintain these particular goals, or am I going to change the goals slightly to help meet what I want to do and my needs at that point? And then the last goal is to record one of these each month, record and edit and post it. So that is my intention in terms of knitting. It'd be really good to hear what your intention is in terms of knitting or life otherwise. Yeah, so please post in the comments below. And I hope you've had a really, really, really lovely Christmas break, a new year, and you are raring to go on the new year as I am. All right, see you next time. Bye.